Hello there, it's Mitch Goldberg. You're watching my live stream, Be the Boss of Your Money. Thank you so much for joining me. I greatly appreciate you taking the time. What we do here every day is we add perspective. We add the process to help you think about the day's events, the week's events, the year's events. We want to help you make your very best possible financial decisions. We want to give you the tools, the knowledge, and I want to especially give you the benefit of past mistakes, of my own experiences, that of investors, especially the investors who I serve, who have overcome mistakes and other external challenges in order to reach their goals, in order to become successfully financially independent. So we talk about these things. And we do focus a lot about the market and the economy, but I feel right now that's the scary thing, and that's what people are worried about. We had a nice rally from June all the way up until about a week ago, and I think investors' heads are spinning right now because we went from such an optimistic rally to back to bear market mode, and now all investors could talk about is retesting the lows from this past June. I think it's a very plausible thing that can happen. We don't know for sure. I do know that everything will be okay given time and given that you are invested according to your risk tolerance, your time horizon, and your needs. And that means if you're someone who is investing in individual stocks, not just index funds, okay, which I just have to say, you can't invest directly into an index fund, but you can invest in a security that tracks or mimics an index. But if you're invested in individual stocks, you have to go into that with your eyes open and understand that sometimes individual stocks don't recover. Time does not heal all wounds, but the major stock market benchmarks, whether if you're talking about the S&P 500, the Dow Jones, the Russell 2000, the Nasdaq, they have always recovered. What you don't see beneath the surface is that the different components in these particular indexes, the different stocks that makes up each index, it's a mix, you see, and some recover and go on to new highs in a bull market, after a bear market, and some don't. And it's really hard to know which ones will recover and which ones won't ahead of time, which is why we diversify and just say, let's just own them all and benefit from a general upward revision in corporate valuations over time. You have to know what kind of investor you are. In a bull market, investors become less risk averse because they think it's getting easy to make money. It's in the market. It's not so risky. It's not so dangerous. Everything's going up. Everything's doing great by every dip. And then when we go into a bear market, investors shy away from individual, not all, but many shy away from individual stocks, and they just want to own index funds or some other kind of investment products that offer a higher level of diversification, way above and beyond that of owning a handful of individual stocks. So we have to talk about that. We also have to talk about what's going on now so that we can live to tell the story about the stock market next year. So let's roll a quick intro. While you're watching, I greatly appreciate a heart. I see we already got one, a thumbs up. Very easy to do. It helps spread the good word about this channel, lets your friends and connections in social media get wind of the good work we're doing here. It's all educational. It can only help people, right? That's what this is all about. And if you have any questions, please ask me in the comments. Words of wisdom, words of encouragement, or if you just want to say hi, that is also always welcome. I love hearing from you. It's the best part of doing the show. So now let's roll the quick intro, and then we're going to get into a couple of things, and then we're going to go on our way. I really do want today to be a pretty quick one. Here we go. Thank you for joining me. We have a few people out there. One in particular I'd like to welcome to the show. Hey, Dana, how are you? I see you out there. Thank you very much for the heart, and I'm really happy that you could join me today. That's makes me happy. Good to see you, and thank you very much. So let's cut to the chase. The first thing I want to take a quick look at is an individual stock called Nordstrom. Wonderful store, great place to shop. Stock is getting absolutely pounded in aftermarket trading. They missed the mark. Earnings were announced after the close. What did they say? They said what nobody wants to hear a retailer say: inventory glut. Um, they have too much stuff in the store. Remember, stores couldn't get enough stuff. Now they have too much stuff. And what that means is, as the seasons change, as they always do, retailers have to mark down stuff, take losses on it, and just get the crap out the door. And that's what they're doing. As a result, the stock is getting pounded. It's considered one of the, it's a very high end retailer and a quality retailer, but they're just not going to cut it in terms of inventory management. Stock is getting pummeled. Another reason why we talk about the difference between owning individual stocks and more broadly diversified products. Diversification, by the way, is a strategy that we use to reduce risk, but it doesn't necessarily protect your portfolio from going down in a generally down market. So, just that's the first thing off the bat. What's next? The Dow down after being down over 600 points yesterday was down 154 today. Nasdaq was down ever so slightly. The Nasdaq was actually a bright spot the entire day until the end of the day. It was up over 100 points. It just gave it all back, went to negative territory. The S&P was modestly down as well. Gold up a little bit, no big deal. Oil had a pretty big day, up over $3 the barrel. You see that, 333. The 10-year yield continues its very mild ascent past the high clouds of 3%. And let's just cut right to the VIX was up a little bit, 2411. The VIX was barely up. It was up, if you can see here, 1.3%. Okay. That is not a lot for the VIX. And that does go to show you that investors are pretty tame about this. There's not a lot of crazy nervousness right now. Today's moves are pretty, even though they were negative in the major stock market averages, they are pretty tame, certainly much more tame than yesterday. And I think it's just that there's a general slowness to trading right now that is telling us, hey, it's summertime, end of August. Just so you know, I could tell you on where I am on Long Island, our schools don't start till primarily after Labor Day. So we are in shutdown mode. The huge suburban office building parking lot where my car is parked, my car is very lonely. There are not a lot of cars. There are just a lot of tumbleweeds blowing around, it seems. Just not a lot going on. And the problem with that is if there is some kind of market moving event, it could have an exaggerated effect on the stock market. The big news this week is Friday. Jerome Powell, chairman of the Federal Reserve Bank, is going to speak with his outlook on inflation, on the economy, and on Federal Reserve policy, interest rate policy, that is. If he says what's perceived as overly stringent, overly hawkish, then we could see a pretty calamitous day in the stock market on Friday. Stocks go down a lot. And with light volume, a down day could become very exaggerated. And all of a sudden, everybody's summer vacation is ruined. On the other hand, if he comes out pretty sanguine about interest rate policy and inflation, did I say sanguine or should I say sanguine? We're sanguini. I'll have some sanguini with white clam sauce. That would be good, right? Anyway, I digress. We could see the market go up a lot. So nobody wants to do anything ahead of that day. Nobody wants to sell right now. Nobody wants to buy right now. And that's why we have such a slow market. Okay, so let's keep going. By the way, you're watching, Pound that like button, just give it a tap. Have it tap the like button or the heart button or the care button or the applause button or the celebrate or the wow, whatever, you know, reaction is available to you depending on which social media platform you're watching on. I have viewers coming in from YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Let's take a look at the bond market. We always take a look at the bond market here. So short-term yields were down a little bit. Long-term yields, like the 10-year, were up slightly. What this means is the spread between the 2-year and the 10-year is still pretty wide. See this one over here versus this one. Okay. This one here is higher than this one. That means it's an inverted yield curve, a sign of negative consequence or a sign of um, negativity about the economic future of this country. And there are a lot of things to be negative about. Okay. We do have, who else is it? John is out there. John J. Robertson from the Sexy Salad, who caters all of my networking groups events. Thank you very much, John, for joining me. But anyway, we have a lot of things to contend with. The ongoing Russian invasion of Ukraine. Energy markets, even though oil has come down a lot, energy markets are still very tight and very susceptible to any kind of interruption. Europe looks like it's just going to be a mess, and there's nothing we could do about it because of the high price of natural gas. If you think we have it bad here for gas prices and oil prices, it's way worse there. And love it. Thank you very much, John. I really appreciate that, sir. Thank you so much. So we have a lot to contend with, geopolitical, and then worries about going into a recession. I've said before, I do believe we hit the recession already, and it's just going to take time for some of the more commonly viewed statistics to show that we're in one. In any event, let's move on to something else. Okay, this is I think is the most important thing we're going to look at today. So let's just get right to it. This is beautiful what we're going to look at now. Okay, right here, a company called Bernstein took a look at the last few recessions going back like 30 some odd years or so, and put in how long each recession lasted, how many bull market rallies, 20% rallies plus they had, and how big they were. And it helps put things in perspective. Right now, the recession in the United States, I'm sorry, the bear market in the United States is about average 8 months old. A number of analysts are saying that the rally we just had was just a bear market rally, and we're heading back to new lows. Now, 2 weeks ago, the airwaves were flooded with optimistic analysts and strategists who were saying the bottom is in, we're rallying from here. So I want you to know what you see often in the media. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a media basher, but I have had my share of media exposure and media appearances, and I do have a somewhat small inkling in terms of how it works. But when things are going gangbusters to the upside, people are invited onto the airwaves, the internet articles, okay, the web-based articles, social media, and radio to talk about their optimism about the market because the market's going up and why they think it continues. And it flips completely when the market's getting pounded and going down a lot. The people who are on are the people who are the most negative, who have the most bearish calls. And that's what we get consistently. Does it add to the upside and the downside in any rally or fade? It could a little bit, but I think most people realize that that is what's happening. We want clicks. We want more viewers. We want to tell people about the upside during the upside, during an up market. We want to tell people the downside or about potential downside during a down market. And that's what you get. And you just need to take all of this with a grain of salt. And if you agree with that, give us a thumbs up. The show, the sponsor of the show, who's me, by the way, would really appreciate that. I pay for the headphones, the microphone, the cameras, like that camera, all the cameras, the sound, everything, so that we could put on a good show and convey to you the right educational message to help you become the best personal financial version of yourself. So that's why when you give us a like or a heart or whatever reaction or a comment, it helps spread the word about the work I'm doing here to the rest of the people in your network. So you're doing a good thing when you give us some attention, and I always appreciate that. Let's just take a look. We got a package today, so let's do a little mail time. So anyway, the average bear market is about 8 months. We're into the current bear market for about 8 months. We haven't gotten out of it yet. I think a lot of us hoped it would be on the way. Okay, what's this? This is a new set of true wireless stereo earbuds. I don't know if you can see that. I lose my wireless earbuds like crazy. I don't know where they go. They just literally disappear all the time. So I'm always ordering these. I got a new one, and I can't wait to put those to use tonight. And I got this. This is glass paper. It's like a screen protector with a rough matte finish and no glare, and it goes on top of your iPad. Okay, so that when you take notes, you feel like you're writing on paper, um, not like you're writing on glass, which to me is really not like a comfortable way to write. So this turns your glass iPad screen into more of a paper feel. And I'm looking forward to getting into it because I like the idea of taking notes in my office and having them on my phone when I'm home, wherever I am. So I don't have to go back to the office to look up a phone number or some detail that I wrote. Okay. So we've got a few of you out there, and we got Stephen Weiss. Hey, Stephen, how are you? So glad you could join us. Eric has joined us as well. Eric Hagan, who, by the way, is a financial advisor. Eric Hagan, you could follow him on LinkedIn. He puts out a lot of great content and very educational and inspirational. All right. So let's get back to the matter at hand. Okay, so total drawdown of the Asian financial crisis was 16%. It lasted 2 months. That was in the late 90s. But the tech bubble, remember that 2000, that lasted 25 months. So when the tech bubble blew up and the market started to go down in March of 2000, it kept going down for over 2 years. I remember those days. It was brutal. It was endless. It seemed like the stock market was never going to recover. And lots of people actually exited my industry. They just left the industry. They couldn't hack it anymore. Think about that. If you're in an industry that's in a horrible bear market for over 2 years, how many people have the means and the savings and the scale of business to survive that long? Um, but we had 8 bull market rallies, a number of bear market rallies. We had 8 of them. They average bear market rally was 14%. They lasted typically 43 days, but those rallies were such head fakes. Every time the market went up, people got excited. They bought the same old tech stocks, and they just got their heads kicked in every single time, and it was always worse. A global financial crisis, market went down by more than half. Yeah, that's right. In 2008 I'm sorry, from the peak of 2007 to the bottom of 2009, the financial crisis, the S&P 500 went down by more than half. How would you feel how would your portfolio do if the stock market went down by more than half? And if you have like high beta stocks, like tech stocks, you did even worse. Okay. It lasted 16 months. That was the good thing about it. It lasted 16 months, not over 2 years. There were 5 rallies. They lasted, usually were up about 11%, lasted 26 days. The Eurozone crisis, that's right when like Greece, we thought Greece would be kicked out of the Eurozone. It was down, S&P was down 17%. I don't know if you really call that a full bear market. 5 head fake rallies. Trade war, that was, I'm going to say that was like late 2018. Market was down 20%. lasted 3 months. The COVID, remember when COVID first hit 2020? Market dropped 34% in a matter of a couple of weeks. Um, was 2 months, so 8 weeks. There was one big rally that was up 6% until we finally bottomed. The average bear market is 28%. Okay, so an average bear market is 28%. Current bear market that we're in now is down 11%. Not the biggest deal in the world. We're in it for 8 months so far. We've had two head fake rallies so far. And the reason I'm saying the current rally we just had is just a head fake and not a sustainable rally, we don't really know for sure until well after the fact. The way the market's giving it back now, it does appear to be a head fake and not something that's so sticky, but time will tell. Okay. So that's where we stand. And I hope that puts things in perspective for you. I thank you so much for joining me today. I put out information like this every day, and I'll take a little minute or 2 minutes out of this live stream today, and that'll become a social media post. That'll be about a minute to 2 minutes over the next couple of business days. So definitely check back with me on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. I'll post those quick 1 or 2 minute videos to kind of give you a quick highlight of the lesson that we spoke about today, to both reinforce it, and in case you missed the live stream, at least you'll have those types of snippets to go back to and just get the most important part of the live stream. Have yourselves a good rest of the day. I'll see you tomorrow. And again, thank you for joining me.